Welcome to Lincoln American University.
Today it is my privilege to introduce to you our very own Dr. Dr. Ranganath. Dr. Ranganath is a graduate from Kempegowda Institute of Medical Sciences in Bangalore, and he did his post-graduation in community medicine from Bangalore Medical College. Since then, he has held various appointments in various universities as a lecturer, assistant professor, associate professor, and now presently he is the professor in the Department of Community Medicine in Malabar College of Medical Sciences and Research. So, Dr. Ranganath, thank you very much for being here with us. We are indeed privileged to have you here with us. And my students are keenly looking forward to your talk on biostatistics. You feel free to take them at your pace. We'll continue to schedule lectures as per your liking and as per the understanding of the students.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all of you. Good evening, sir, for the kind introduction of myself. So, biostatistics is a very important component in the field of medicine. In fact, in all the disciplines, not only related to health sciences, to name any discipline, let it be a discipline related to industrial technology, let it be discipline related to social sciences, let it be discipline related to many of the engineering and other scientific fields, for example, it could be fisheries, agriculture, whatever it is. Statistics today is the pillar of all the scientific disciplines. Without statistics, there is no understanding of any of these modern scientific fields. So to go ahead, as per the medical curriculum, I have designed certain learning objectives for you for this particular class. So in this 1.5 hour duration, we expect you to be able to define what is biostatistics and understand the uses of biostatistics. You should be able to understand the various types of data that is needed in biostatistics. Understand the distributions of this data and understand certain measures that you are going to find out from these data. One of the measures that you are going to understand is the measures of central tendency. It might look Greek and Latin to you initially, but as time passes, things will be clear, I hope so. I want all of you to have a look at this slide. So this is a scientific article. So as a physician, in your day-to-day practice in the future, you will be going across such type of articles to keep abreast in the field of medicine. This is the original article published in the New England Journal of Medicine. The original article means it is a scientifically researched publication as an article in a journal. It says, remdesivir for 5 or 10 days in patients with severe COVID-19. So this is the information that these scientists or researchers want to put across to physicians and other relevant healthcare personnel across the globe. Here the prime author is Jason G. Goldman. You will read this article. I have just put the abstract here. There is a component called background of the article, then the methodology, then the results section and the conclusion section. It says, remdesivir is a RNA polymerase inhibitor. It is a drug. It is a potent antiviral drug and is being found to be effective in animals against COVID-19 disease. So they conducted a trial means an experiment on patients. So, a few patients received remdesivir drug in different doses, and they observed what happened to these patients. So what is important here for us today is not to go into the picture of what is this drug, how this drug acts, etc. But for you to have a bird's eye view of what is going on today in the field of medicine, how medicine is understood today. This is what you will be reading throughout your life. You will be reading about diseases. There will be numbers. There will be percentages. There will be so many terms and terminologies used. Until unless you have understood them, most of it is likely to be speak and writing. You will find it very, very difficult to comprehend the medical literature if we do not become familiar with the discipline of statistics. As I already told you earlier, statistics today is one of the pillars in all the scientific disciplines, including the field of medicine. See, for example, here in the result section, in line or row 2, second row in the result section, it says the median duration of treatment was 5 days. Now they do not just mention the treatment duration was 5 days. They mention the median duration. Then they mention in the third row, interquartile range. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. We all can hear you.
Yes. Interquartile range, 5 to 15 in the 5-day group and 9 days. Then you will see in another row a value called as P is equal to 0.02. So you will come across such type of abstracts. We tend to call them abstracts because we are not aware of them. What are these things? Probably it is somebody talking about something to somebody. It doesn't make sense to us. No, it's not like that. This is what we call as science tool. Science uses tools. Here, by the term tool, we understand methods to answer certain questions. All these scientific tools heavily depend on statistics. So without statistics, we cannot understand medicine. Of course, you may be able to read a textbook, or you may be able to observe some other senior physicians practicing and follow them. But we are failed to comprehend science. So this is what I would like to say in these introductory remarks before we proceed to the actual subject matter. So what is statistics? Statistics, is part of mathematics. It is mathematics. So it is one of the component of mathematics. It has become a field by itself. This deals with data. Data means values. Example, weight of children attending a school is data. The number of students of LAU attending this class, particular class movement, is data. The number of students, medical students, is data. So this field deals with collection of such type of data, then classifying the data, analyzing these data, summarizing the data and presenting such data. So statistics deals with data, values, numbers, measurements. They are known by so many terminologies. So biostatistics is the application of the principles of statistics to the issues or problems that are related to the field of biology, including health sciences. Since you are all students of medicine, and also used in the field of medicine. Broadly, we understand biostatistics as the application of statistical principles to the methods of statistics in the field of health sciences, biological sciences. So broadly, at the basic level, we can categorize statistics into three components: descriptive statistics, analytical statistics, and vital statistics. It is descriptive statistics, analytical statistics, and vital statistics. The second, analytical statistics is also known as the inferential statistics. We become familiar with these terminologies and the meaning of them, the definitions of them as hypotheses. The descriptive statistics means it is concerned with the summary measures of data. As I told you, that statistics is concerned with data. Here, it is concerned with summarizing data, whatever data that we are going to collect and analyze to understand the phenomena in the people, example, the disease in the people. Here, it is concerned with summarizing whatever data we are collecting, the sample of the population. Now, the study which I showed you earlier in the second slide on a series of COVID patients receiving an antiviral drug. They are the sample of population. They are the sample of COVID patients were given the drug. Who is the population? Population is all the COVID patients. So in all the COVID patients, the sample was taken. And in this sample, they administered drugs, antiviral drugs or medication in different doses. And whatever data that they collected, one of the data that they collected was how long the patient stayed in the hospital. So they summarized such type of data. Analytical statistics means it is the use of data from a sample of the population to make inferences about the population. So whatever data that we collect from these patients is on a sample. Generally, the data is not collected on the entire population, always collected on a sample. But when you collect on a sample, ultimately the results should be applicable to the population. So such techniques are called as analytical statistics. Lastly, the vital statistics. Nothing but the ongoing collection of certain events in human beings which are vital. Example, birth, death, marriages, people falling sick, the disease, example, how many are dying due to COVID-19, how many are affected due to COVID-19. So this is in brief about the types of statistics: descriptive statistics, analytical statistics, and vital statistics. Next, we move on to users. Why study statistics? Why understand statistics? Why apply statistics to the field of medicine and health? One important use The first one is to understand the phenomena in nature. There is a phenomenon that we are interested in is disease and health-related phenomena. Now, to understand them, today we have to use that because it involves large number of information or data. To deal with data, we should be members with statistical things. Second, statistics is useful to plan, collect appropriate data, and to present the data. When we collect data, we have to summarize and present it. Example, if you are collecting data of 353 COVID patients, you cannot keep on telling patient number 1, patient number 2, and 3, etc. You have to summarize everything in the form of a table, form of a graph, or any similar summarization, so that you can understand what is going on. Fourth, understand the variability of the phenomenon. Now, whatever we observe in nature, including the phenomena related to health and disease, varies. Physiology varies, skin color varies, height varies, weight varies, blood group varies, etc., etc. Such variations are called as variability. So we have to understand this phenomenon to be study. Next, drawing valid inferences about the population parameters from the sample data. I told you about inferential statistics, which are analytical statistics. From the sample, we are going to find out what it means to the population. Last but one, to plan for a research study. Without the sound knowledge of statistics, we cannot plan what data to be collected, how to collect the data, how to analyze the data, how to interpret the findings. Lastly, to evaluate the published numerical facts. So all of you will be reading literature. Without the sound understanding, the basic immediately understanding of statistics, we cannot understand what the authors or researchers or clinicians are trying to put across. Let us move on to the most important component of statistics. Statistics is a scientific discipline that deals with data. This is what we define. What is data? Data are the basic building blocks of statistics. The data is information related to individuals that you want to study or observe, objects, events, etc. Event could be example, birth, event. Affected with disease, not affected with disease. Recovered from the disease, not recovered from the disease. So, this is about data. If you look at such type of data, we have to see what are these types of data. Because we have to plan for collection of data and analysis of the data. It varies planning for collection, analysis, and interpretation of the data depends on what are the types of data. Now, broadly, we can understand that data is of two types. One is the categorical type. The second is the numerical type of data. So, as the name indicates, the second type numerical, it is to do with some numbers, some measurements. Example, isolated measurement. Number is number of people, a number of people who are diseased, number who died, numerical. Categorical means something to do with some category or characteristics or classifications. For example, rich and poor is one type of category. Tall and short is a type of category. People with Let root B positive, O positive, type of pattern. So coming to the second type of numerical variables. Now numerical variables could be understood or further subdivided as discrete in nature, continuous in nature, or of the interval form. Discrete numerical data is something to do with the counts. For example, the number of children. There are 45 children in a particular class. Is the count of the children. In another class in a different section, there could be 52. So it becomes count. Yeah, discrete in nature means 45 is different and 50 is different. Continuous. Similarly, there cannot be 45 and of children. There can be either 45 or 46 children. That is the meaning of this. So you can specifically count. Whereas continuous numerical variable means something to do with continuation of the variable. When we measure the weight of a person, depends on the instrument. If you are going to use a Barton scale, it will tell you weighing 60 kilos or 60.5 or 61. If we measure, if we use a more accurate instrument, an electronic instrument, if I say you weigh 60.01 kilo, 60.02, 60.1, 60.11. The measurements can be continuous. Similarly, height. Similarly, there are so many types of measurements connected to human beings. They are continuous in nature. Such type of variables are called as continuous variables. Principal variables. Here, you cannot call them as continuous measurements. For example, body temperature. We take body temperature. The temperature can be somewhere around 98, 98.1, 98.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Or the person develops fever, it can be 101, 101.1 degrees Fahrenheit. Or the body temperature reduces in certain phenomena, like hypothermia, it could be 95 degrees Fahrenheit. But it cannot become zero. Zero means the person has died. It is not a body temperature. The person is alive. So such type of phenomena are called as interval. Even though it is somewhat continuous in nature, but you call it as an interval type of interval. You will be better able to understand with the examples and after the next few slides. The first type of variable that I discussed was the categorical variables. Categorical data or variable measurements are generally of the nominal type or ordinal type. You are not measuring anything here. You are ideally counting all your categories. Nominal means you are naming, for example, male or a female or a transgender. You are just giving a label. You might say so many male, so many female. That group is a nominal data, naming. Similarly, you can order, give an order to a particular variable. Example, you can say high school pass, college pass. It's an order. Patient has completed everything. Patient has studied up to high school. Means you are giving an order. It is a rank. So ordinal data, nominal data, all are categorical. So it has to be very clear as a fundamental that data is the building block in statistics. And there are various types of data. At a broader level, you can look at data as numerical data or as categorical data. Okay. So let us just refresh our memory about data. So I request you to give your answers. What type of data is this? What is your education background? What type of data? So out of the various types of data that we discussed as numerical and as categorical. Is it numerical or categorical? If so, what type of numerical or categorical? It is about the educational background of people today, the patients coming to an hospital. So is it a categorical data or a numerical data? So there is nothing measured here except what I have just studied. So it has been classified that the study is elementary, high school, or undergraduate or graduate. So you have to find out what type of data it is. I will be sharing the PPT to all of you. Then both will try and give your answers. Similarly, what type of data it is? As from gender, in the language which we speak. Is it numerical or categorical? Thirdly, there is a type of data here, the length of an object. We measure this in inches. What type of data is it? Is it numerical, categorical? If so, what type of numerical or categorical? Okay, so now continuing with the data, the second component of the data that we are going to discuss today is about the distribution of the data. Data are the variables that we measure to summarize it and to present it and to analyze it. How is it distributed from the statistical perspective, from the mathematician's perspective? What is the distribution of data? It is the complete summary of the frequencies or proportion of a characteristic or a series of data from a sample of properties. Let me get along here. If you first time for it to calculate this, the distribution of the data means it is a summarizing the frequencies in the numbers that we are measured or counted or proportions with the percentages of the characteristic. Characteristic is the data that we are going to measure. For a series of data, series means the number of features, series of features. From a sample of population. So studies are usually done for a small section of the population called as a sample. Now, if you look at the types of distribution of the data, then know that there are so many types of distribution. The elementary level, it is sufficient for us to understand initially that there is something called as the normal distribution of the data, skewed distribution of the data, and the other forms, which is not very much now, the binomial, the uniform, Poisson, and the large normal types of distribution of data. The most importantly, it is the normal distribution of the data. Now, the term normal here means if you put across the data on a graph of paper, the data is a series of measurements that have been made. Here, let us take the height of people of a particular age group. Let it be the young adults from the age group of 18 to 25 years in a particular city. The sample of these 18 to 25-year-old men were measured, their height was measured using their specific tool. And they found that the distribution is like this. They found that height measurement, series of height measurement, looks like a bell. And The sides of this bell, the curve is full. It rises slowly, peaks up and falls. So it is described, the normal distribution curve is described as a continuous, symmetric, bell-shaped curve. The data, the variables of height of people looks like this. It looks as a continuous, symmetric, bell-shaped curve. Now, in this curve, the characteristics of the data, that is the mean, median, and mode, are equal. We complete what is this mean, median, and mode. It is the characteristic of the data. The mean, median, and mode are equal. Then only we call it as a normal distribution. Now, in this curve, 68.3% of the people, means the young adults, 18 to 25 years old, they lie what is called as the one standard deviation. 95.4% lie within two standard deviations. 99.7% lie within three standard deviations. So let us see what exactly it is. Normal distribution curve. So if you plot the data of height of a sample of young adult males, their height will appear like this. This means that most of these young adult males are, that is around 68.2% of their height is around this value. The remaining are either lesser than these people or more than these. So most of them are in the center, meaning average. This is what we call it average height. So we can see the height of young adults that most of them are here. Some are a little bit short, some are very short, some are on the taller side, that is on the right side, some are very, very tall. This is how phenomenon. We mentioned about the uses of statistics. The first use that I described was to understand the phenomenon of nature. This is the nature. You have to understand the phenomenon of a particular characteristic of human being, height. This is how we have understood. Similarly, this is how we have understood all the other physiological phenomena in the human body. For example, the WBC count, the blood sugar level, the serum creatinine level, all are based on such type of understanding. When we measure these variables or data, and when we put them on a graph, we come across a phenomenon like this. Most of them will have values of similar nature. Some of the values will be on the lower side, some of the values will be on the higher side. And that has been put across mathematically as been reduced, saying that 68.2% of the values of the measurement near height in the young adults will be around the mean. Mean means the average value. Will be around mean. How much around? It will be around plus or minus one standard deviation. You have to understand it. Actually, what is this one standard deviation? 95.4% will be around mean, plus or minus two standard deviation. Will be here. Now, the remaining 99.7% of the values will be here. Lastly, a few values will be the extremes, very tall or very short. This is the understanding of the normal distribution curve, also called as the Gaussian curve, after the name of a German mathematician, Gauss. Now there is some other distribution that you have to understand of the measurements in nature. If you measure certain things, they might not be distributed normally. They may be skewed. Skewed means appearance is there. It doesn't look like a symmetrical bell. It is asymmetric. It is very clear that this curve is not symmetrical, it is asymmetric. Here it is skewed on the left side, this curve is skewed on the right. So more the skew on the left side is called as the negative skew, more the skew on the right side is the positive skew. So naturally, such type of distribution of the data or the measurement, the mean, the central value, will not be in the center. It cannot be in the center. It has to be somewhere. For example, on the negative skew, it has to be on the left side. The positive skew, it has to be on the right side. So some of the body measurements may not be normally distributed. That can be skewed. So a skew distribution means the measurement is asymmetric. It is the skew to the left called as negative skew, skew to the right called as positive skew. Okay. So we have finished with one aspect of statistics. That is about the data. What is data? What are the types of data? And the distribution of data. So we will just take a small break before we come back to the next topic in statistics called as the summarization statistics. Here we are going to deal with the description of the data called as the descriptive statistics. So under this, I will be taking up today the measures of central tendency. Second component of this lecture series, the descriptive statistics. As we mentioned, statistics is a scientific discipline that is the collection or measurement of the data, summarizing the data, analyzing and interpreting the data. So, when you have to summarize the data that you are collecting, generally the summarization, the term summarization of the data means description of the data. Describing the data that has been collected on a set of patients. We can describe the data as number one, measures of central tendency. Measures means certain measurements, certain summary related to the central value of the data collected. Measures of dispersion means the values of the data that are away from their central values. Next is presentation of the data. So the data that we collect has to be presented in such a way that it is meaningful, it is simple, and it could be understood by others. Okay? Yes. I'll take the first aspect of the descriptive statistics, measures of central tendency. Now, this everybody will be familiar because in your high school education and also in your intermediate education, most of you have come across certain terminologies related to statistics such as mean, median, and mode. So these are nothing but these are the measures of the values of the data that lie in the center of the distribution. I already mentioned that a data is distributed in a particular fashion, either as a normal distribution or as a skew distribution or as any other distribution. When we talk of the normal distribution, I told you that the normal distribution, most of the values that were measured are all centrally distributed. So it simply means that the values are around the central values. I told you that the height of young adults, most of them are around the mean. what is this mean, median, and mode? Mean means the sum of all the values, the summation of all the values. Now values, suppose there were 50 young adult males, the height was measured. Now you can give the name for each of these individuals. X1, X2, X3, X4. It goes on up to X50. Means X1 might be 78 inches. X2 might be 81.3 inches. X3 might be 60.1 inch. Goes on up to X50. Sum of all these values, in total, all these heights that were measured, they are called as the value divided by the number of the values in the series of data. Here the series of data is 50 young adult males, their heights. Number is 50. So sum of all the values divided by 50. That becomes the mean value. That is one of the most important measures of science. Okay. Where is it used? Commonly used measure. So we come across mean being used commonly when we describe the data. The mean value of this particular measurement was so and so. The mean weight of children measured was 10.1 kgs. There is one disadvantage of the mean value. I think it is sensitive to the extreme values. It's simple, sensitive to extreme value means suppose we have, let us say, 5 measurements of height. Let us say measurement number 1 at X1 was 60 inch. X2 was 65. X3 was 66. X4 65 again. X5 was 92 inches. Okay. So most of them were around 60 to 65. So suddenly there was one value, one measurement of a person who was around 95 inches. It is called as the extreme value. This extreme value will distort the mean. The mean should have been somewhere around 62, 63. Because of this value of 95, it will come to somewhere around 80. So it distorts. That is one of the disadvantages of the mean, but it is a commonly used measure. Next comes the median. Median means the middle value in the series of data. Median is the middle value in the series of data. Now, if there are 50 young adult male height recorded, what will be the middle value? So the procedure is we have to arrange the values in either ascending or descending order. Ascending order of the values or descending order. Obtain the middle value. So what will be the middle value? Middle value of 50. Is it 25, 24, 26? So 50, is 50 an even number or odd number? Okay. Suppose it was 51 people. 51 people's values are measured. So what will be the middle value? So like that. So suppose it is an odd number of people were measured. You will get correctly the middle value. Suppose you have measured even number of people. Then you have to take the two values and take the average of the value. But the advantage of median is that it is not sensitive to the extreme value. So it doesn't matter if certain measurements are either very high or very low. So this median as a central value is taken when we come across extreme measurements, extreme values in a given set of data. Lastly, the mode. Mode, what is the mode? Is the most commonly occurring value in a series of data. In a series of data, here let's take the example of 50 young adults. Their height was measured, becomes the series of height of young adults. Now suppose 66 or 66, the value 66 inch was coming more frequently. It is 50 individuals. It becomes the mode value. Okay. The most frequently or most commonly occurring value is your series of data. Okay, it is easy to identify. Just pick out the most frequently occurring value. Generally, they are used only in practical kind of situations. For example, a practical epidemiological work simply means there are certain field-like situations. Now, for example, COVID-19 pandemic is occurring across the globe. So, in each country, it is an epidemic. So, excessive number of people are reported to be suffering from COVID. Now, when you keep on measuring certain values in these people, generally, we are measuring the mode. We are mainly interested in the most common outcome, most common complications. The most common type of people who are affected with COVID, etc. This most commonly occurring value becomes mode. So, keeping this in mind, when you listen to the news, either in a TV channel or in the radio or in the newspaper, you can find out the types of central values that are being summarized and put across this. You will come across these measures. The mean age of the patients are admitted to this hospital in COVID-19, the period March to May is so. You might come across another measure like the median number of days of admission of the patient was so much. Why median? Because some patients might have been discharged the moment it was a laboratory report became negative. Some patients' laboratory report might have been positive for many weeks. They might be still hospitalized. So we might come across extreme of values. So there they might not use the mean value, they might use the median value. More. You might find that research terminology is being used, like the most common complications, commonest complication among the COVID-19 hospitalized patients in the hospital was, for example, pneumonia. See, it becomes more. So nothing to do with the mean or median. Among the set of the complications that they recorded, pneumonia or let us say diarrhea, or it could be any other similar complications. Pneumonia being the most commonest complication, it is the mode, okay, the most frequently occurring value becomes. Okay. So with this background, I want all of you to solve this exercise of central tendency measure. The ages in years of 11 children seen in an emergency room after fire accident are 2 years, 5, 7, 5, 6, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 1. So this is a set or a series of measurements. Here, these measurements 2, 5, 7 are years of the age. So it becomes the value 2 years, 5 years, 7 years is the value of the 11 becomes the number of values. 11 children. 11 children age is measured. It becomes the number of children. Now, all you have to do is find the measures of central tendency. Already told you, measures of central tendency are the mean, the median, and the mode. So, mean is given by the formula mean. So, mean of a sample is x bar. Okay, you write mean as x bar. So, I'll be putting up these formulas again into the class, next class. Mean is given as x bar. So, x bar is a small x. So, above x there will be a small bar, x bar, equals summation. So, summation, sum of all the values. So, x1 up to x11 divided by n, that is 11. So, that is the mean, the formula for the mean. Now, we will move on to the remaining questions. This is the test your attention span, how attentive you were, and what difficulty you have had in understanding these salient concepts. So we are coming to one important concept that you understood. The first most important concept was about the data. What is data and what are the various types of data? So that was one of our learning objectives. So let us assess this learning objective. A student wishes to assess the birth characteristics in a population. Which of the following variables, here variables means data, describes the appropriate measurement scale or type? The type of data. Measurement of the data type. So is it continuous? A. B is it ordinal? C is it nominal? D is it dichotomous? So this question, there is plenty of scope for discussions, for clarification. Okay. So I expect you to answer, make mistakes, so that will reinforce your learning and achieve most important objective of understanding what is data and what are the types of data. So birth rate in grams, is it continuous, ordinal, nominal, or dichotomous? Birth rate classified as low, medium, high. What type of data is it? Birth rate classified as low and not low. What type of data is it? And type of delivery, cesarean section, natural delivery, or was it an induced type of delivery? What type of data was measured? Yes, you can quickly answer this. Do is put either A, B, C, or D for each of these blanks. So I think this is the most important question. This needs to be revised as frequently, as many times as possible. So this is one of the fundamental concepts in understanding the data. Until unless we understand what is data and what are the types of data, anything else is meaningless. Because we are trying to understand what is it. Any other type of description of it is meaningless. So I just gave a description that you can categorize data as a numerical type and categorical type. Numerical means something to do with the measurement, values to measure and numbers. Here, birth rate in grams, as all of you have rightly put, is numerical, means continuous. This continuous birth rate can be 3.1, 3.150, like that. It's continuous. Next, categorical data. So the categorical type of data, it is mainly to do with giving an order to a value. For example, order is low, medium, not low, low. All are orders. Here, there is some further categorization, that's all. So both B and D is correct for C. Okay, for the fill in the blanks C, birth rate classified as low, not low, it is an ordinal scale. No doubt about that. Okay. Low and not low, it is ordinal, means you are giving an order. Either it is on the lower side or it is on the normal side. Since the values have been categorized only as of two types, it is called as dichotomous. Okay. Otherwise, there is no difference between B and C. Both B and C are ordinal. Well done, excellent. D, delivery type classified as caesarean, normal delivery. Okay. Here, it is just a name is given. There is no order here, or there is no measurement also. Okay. You are not measuring anything here. What is the type of delivery? It is just like what is the blood group type? B, A, AB, or O. Similarly, what is the type of caesarean? What is the gender of the person? Is it male baby, female child, or still not differentiated? We do not know whether it is a male child or female. Like that. That is nominal. Good. Excellent. So we will move on to the next question. We have totally 3 questions to test whether we have achieved the learning objectives of today's lecture or not. Yes. Please read this question. Question looks big, but there is not much here. It's easy for you to answer it. A large study of serum cholesterol levels in patients with diabetes mellitus reveals that the parameter is normally distributed with a mean of 230 mg per sec per deciliter and standard deviation of 10 mg per deciliter. According to these results, 95% of serum cholesterol observations in these patients lie between which of the following limits? Okay, the limits are given A, B, C, D. So, go back to the distribution of the data which we discussed in the earlier slides. We discussed that the data, the values of the data can be distributed either normally or it could not be a normal curve. It could be some other types of curves. Here, it is normally distributed. The question is here the parameter is cholesterol. Parameter means measurement of particular value. Cholesterol value is the parameter here. It is normally distributed. Mean is 230. Standard deviation is 10. So all you have to find out is 95% of serum cholesterol observation in these patients lie between which of the following limits? Yes, you can take your time and answer this. I will just put the normal distribution curve again for you, but briefly, so that you recapitulate this concept. This important, most important statistical concept. Normal distribution curve. The parameter serum cholesterol is normally distributed in the classification. The mean has been found around 230, and the question is very simple. From year to year, 95% of the values lies there between mean and what value. So you have to slightly analyze, do some exercise to play matter. and answer this. If you do that, then you will be very happy. In a medical class of 147 students, the distribution of scores on a biochemistry final examination has a mean equal to 67, a median equal to 76, and a mode equal to 80. Standard deviation equal to 5.5 and a variance equal to 30.25. I know that the standard deviation and variance are not yet explained, but it doesn't matter. Three students were unable to take the test on the scheduled date and were given a different form, different form of the exam 1 week later. So not the same type of test. Which parameter is most likely to be the least biased estimator of central tendency for this distribution of biochemistry test scores? Okay. Which parameter is most likely to be least biased estimator of the central tendency for this distribution of the biochemistry test scores? Please read this question, reread many times, try to understand. Very important for you to understand such type of questions, because this is how you will come across the clinical situations also. I want you to understand the question. See, the clue is already here. Today the topic, the learning objective was for you to understand about the central tendency, isn't it? Measures of central tendency are not measures of deviation, measures of central tendency. Here the question is very clear. Which parameter, last line, which parameter is most likely to be least biased estimator of central tendency for this distribution of biochemistry test score? Very clear. The question itself is, which central tendency do you want to choose? What are the central tendencies that we discussed? Is the mean, median, and the mode. So out of these three, out of the standard deviation and variance are nowhere related to the central values. They are away from the central values, isn't it? So the question is, which parameter would you like to choose? Mean, median, mode. Shall I go
Mode,
to the? I will go to the. Yes, this table once again, where I am trying to summarize the salient characteristics of the measures of central tendency, mean, median, mode. And among these use, that is the advantage, disadvantage, mean is commonly used, no doubt, very rare, but sensitive to extreme values. Okay. The others are not commonly used, they are used only in specific situations. You tend to use median when you suspect that the values can be extreme, or when you look at the extreme values. Suddenly some measurement is very high or very low, it will affect the mean. You don't want to use mean then, you want to use median. Of course, mode doesn't come into picture here at all, because they are used in specific situations. I very clearly told you. They are very rarely used in the usual situations. Even this understanding, this is the concept of the measures of central tendency. Please understand, this is the concept, this is the understanding. With this understanding, what is the parameter that you should most likely choose? See, the question is very clear. I want you to spend more time on this question, your free time. Try to understand this question. So again, that this has to be reinforced. So next class, before I start the next class, I will try to start again with measures of central tendency, because there is a need again for you to understand this concept. Okay. See here, any of these three things, okay, is debatable, either mean, median, or mode. I don't argue with you that the mode is wrong. Yes, the way you have thought, you can argue that yes, because two different exams were conducted on different dates for the same set of students. very difficult, so I would like to give more. Okay. Yes, but here please understand that if only one exam was conducted, then mean would have been taken. Okay. Since two different exams of different types, the second test was scheduled in a different forum. So we expect the marks to come out in different way. It will not be as the marks in the first set. It will definitely be in the second, in a different type of marks. So that we will call it as extreme values. Okay, it could be either very less or very more. This is our anticipation. Hence, we have chosen median. Okay, hence we have chosen median and not mean. Why did we choose median and not mean? Because median is not sensitive to the extreme values, whereas mean is sensitive to the extreme values. Because of these three students who took the examinations in a different forum, okay, it was not of the same type, we expected that the values could be of the extreme type, and we did not opt to choose the mean type. Of course, take your own time, think again about this question, okay, before we discuss. So this particular thing, I did not get any answers from your side, okay. So before we close this lecture, the last question, okay, what type of data is this?
Continuous.
It's a continuous data because it's a numerical one.
It's a numerical. Excellent. This is a numerical, correct. Yes. So I wanted this word to come out, numerical and categorical. Okay, this is how we have to start. So under numerical, it is more of a value. So it is 0, 5, 10, and 15. So it will be very difficult to call this as continuous because the value given here is only 5, 10, 15, and 0. So you don't find values like 5.1, 5.2, 5.15. Again, calling it as continuous might be risky. Okay. So there are other types of numerical data. One is the interval type, another is the ratio type. Okay. This particular question specifically I have put, and in the end, for you to understand that, as you can keep on categorizing the types of data to any extreme. The more you are clear with the type of data, the more you are summarizing of the data, analyzing the data, and presentation of the data will be excellent. Okay. Means you are able to understand the situation. Here, situation could be a clinical situation. The values, the laboratory values of the patient that you are seeing to treat the patient, manage the patient. Or you are reading an article and you are seeing what type of analysis have they done. You are able to judge whether they have done the right type of analysis or the right type of data. Okay. Yes. Excellent. This data is a numerical data. Yes. But instead of continuous, because the way it is put across 0, 5, 10, it is more of interval. It is at the interval of 5, 5. Okay. There is interval like that. So you can refine the type of numerical data. Okay. So well done. Excellent. So dear sir, I think that today's learning objectives have been fulfilled to a certain extent. So the next class will be again trying to summarize, start with summarizing this today's class, just to refresh their memory, and I move ahead with the other aspects of statistics, that is the measures of dispersion, then presentation of the data, then I will move on to the how to analyze given data.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ranganath. Thank you very much.